The sun hung lazily in the sky, casting a warm glow over the city park. A light breeze stirred the leaves in the trees, and the soft sound of children laughing and playing filled the air. In a corner of the park, near a gently bubbling fountain, sat Emma. She was perched on a bench, her back slightly hunched, a long breath escaping her lips as her fingers nervously adjusted the hem of her light blue skirt. It was the kind of afternoon she hated, one filled with movement, noise, and life. She wanted nothing more than to disappear into the background, to be invisible. She didn't belong in the hustle and bustle of the world around her. The laughter, the chatter, the busy lives that swirled past her on all sides, these were things she couldn't connect with. Her heart beat in anxious rhythm as she wrapped her arms around herself, hugging her body as though trying to make herself smaller. She didn't like to draw attention, didn't like the feeling of eyes on her. Her mother had insisted she wear the skirt, believing it would make Emma feel lighter, more confident. It was a pretty skirt, soft, light blue, fluttering, with the breeze, but it only served as a reminder of how different she felt, how out of place she was. She tugged the hem down again, eyes darting around, making sure no one was watching her too closely. The park was crowded today, families, joggers, and couples enjoying the warmth of the day. For most people, it was a perfect afternoon. For Emma, it was a living nightmare. She longed to be back at home in the quiet comfort of her room, away from the world. Her eyes lingered on a couple of joggers passing by, their strides confident and sure. She looked down at her hands, now nervously adjusting the fabric of her skirt again. They didn't know how easy it was for people like her to feel invisible in a world that demanded confidence, a world that often felt like it was too much to handle. Suddenly, Emma felt a soft nudge against her leg, and she gasped, startled. A large German shepherd had appeared out of nowhere, its nose nuzzling her shin. Emma's heart skipped a beat, and her initial reaction was one of embarrassment. She looked around, wishing the ground would open up and swallow her whole. Some people nearby had noticed the exchange, their eyes turning toward her. She could feel the weight of their gaze, the soft laughter from a couple sitting on the grass a few feet away, whispers rippling through the air. "Sorry, is he bothering you?" a voice suddenly asked, breaking through her panic. Emma looked up, her gaze meeting a man in his 40s, standing a few feet away. He had a kind face, but Emma was too overwhelmed to really take in his features. All she could focus on was the dog, a massive, alert-looking creature, standing so close to her that she could feel its warmth. "No, it's okay," she muttered, her voice barely audible, too ashamed to admit the truth that the dog had startled her, and she didn't know how to react. The man noticed her discomfort, his brow furrowing slightly. "He's trained," he said, gently. "His name is Peter." Emma nodded, her eyes darting down to the dog again, which was still standing patiently at her side. She didn't know what to do. Should she pet it? Should she stand up and move away? The man continued, his voice calm and reassuring. "Peter is a medical alert dog. He's trained to sense changes in body chemistry. He's been trained to pick up on things people might not notice, things that could be important." Emma blinked in confusion. "What do you mean?" The man crouched down next to the dog, his hand resting gently on Peter's head. "I'm a bit of a medical enthusiast. Peter can sense shifts in body temperature or any unusual swelling. If there's something off, he'll notice." Emma felt a wave of discomfort wash over her. Was this some kind of joke? Could a dog really do that? "Like a health issue?" Emma asked, her voice cracking slightly. She wasn't sure if she even wanted to hear the answer. The man nodded. "Yes, he's sensed something in your leg. It's a small swelling, but it's enough for Peter to notice. You might want to get it checked out." Emma's mind raced. Her leg? What swelling? She hadn't noticed anything unusual. There was no pain, no redness, nothing that felt out of the ordinary. She wasn't sure if she could trust a dog to tell her something like that. "No, I'm fine," she said quickly, her voice a little sharper than she intended. She felt a wave of embarrassment sweep through her. She wasn't used to people talking to her, let alone giving unsolicited advice. It was easier to just avoid it all, to keep her head down and move along. The man seemed unfazed by her hesitation. He stood up and smiled warmly. I understand you might be skeptical, but I promise you, Peter knows what he's doing. I'm not trying to alarm you, but I think you should consider getting it checked out. You'd be surprised what can be caught early." Emma swallowed hard, her throat tightening. She could feel the eyes of the nearby park-goers still on her, but this time it was different. They weren't laughing anymore. They were just watching, waiting for her to make a decision. "I'll think about it," she said, not sure if she meant it. But as she watched the man and Peter walk away, a strange sense of unease lingered in her chest. Was it possible that the dog had actually noticed something she hadn't? The thought gnawed at her, a quiet whisper urging her to listen, to take the man's advice seriously. She stared at Peter's retreating form, and for the first time in a long while she felt an odd sense of hope. The sterile white walls of the doctor's office seemed to close in on Emma as she sat in the examination room, tapping her foot nervously. She could feel the beating of her heart in her throat, and the air seemed too thick to breathe. The doctor, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, entered the room and gave her a warm smile. "Emma, I'm glad you decided to come in. Let's take a look at that leg." Emma hesitated but rolled up her skirt, revealing the small swelling area on her calf. It hadn't seemed important before, just a minor bump, something she could ignore. But now, under the bright light of the doctor's office, it felt real. The doctor gently prodded the area. "I can feel the swelling. It's not painful to you?" Emma shook her head. "No, it's not. I didn't even notice it until today." The doctor nodded thoughtfully. "Well, this might seem surprising, but it's good that you came in. This is likely a benign tumor, something that can be treated easily because we caught it early. It's nothing to panic about, but we'll need to do a few tests." Emma stared at the doctor, her mind reeling. Tumor. She hadn't expected this, couldn't have prepared for it. The word echoed in her head, its weight settling heavily in her chest. She felt like she was outside her body, detached from the reality of the situation. She could almost hear Peter's nudge against her leg again, his soft concern lingering in the back of her mind. That dog, that gentle creature, had led her here. And in that moment, Emma realized how much she had underestimated him. Days passed, and Emma found herself in a sterile hospital room, her legs propped up on a pillow as she stared out of the window. The sun was setting, casting an orange hue across the sky, but her mind felt trapped in a fog of disbelief. A tumor. It was hard to accept. She kept telling herself it wasn't that big of a deal, that it was caught early and could be treated. But the word tumor kept repeating itself in her mind like an uninvited guest. Her leg ached from the minor procedure she had undergone earlier that week. The swelling was gone now, but the emptiness that had settled in her chest was still very much present. She hadn't expected to be sitting in a hospital room, facing her own vulnerability. She hadn't expected to be here at all. As she sat there, a knock on the door brought her back to the present. "Mind if we come in?" a familiar voice called out. It was John, the man with Peter. Her heart gave an involuntary leap in her chest, a mixture of surprise and gratitude flooding her. She hadn't expected to see him again so soon, and the thought that he would visit her felt both comforting and overwhelming. John entered, followed by Peter, the large German shepherd, trotting happily beside him. Emma couldn't help but smile, despite herself. Peter's presence, so steady and reliable, had already begun to feel like a balm on her heart. The anxiety that often gripped her was lessened when she saw him. It was as if he could sense her unease and quietly offered her the space to breathe. "How are you doing today, Emma?" John asked, his voice calm and gentle. He had an easygoing demeanor that made her feel at ease despite her discomfort. "I'm okay," Emma replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "I guess it's just a lot to process." John nodded, sitting in the chair beside her bed. "I can imagine. It's not easy to face something like this, but you're doing great. You came in early, and that's what matters most." Peter padded over to her bedside, his brown eyes looking up at her with concern. She reached out tentatively, her fingers brushing his soft fur. Peter leaned into her touch, nudging her hand with his nose. John continued with a chuckle. "I'm pretty sure Peter thinks he's your personal nurse now. He's been checking up on you every time I stop by." Emma laughed softly. the sound more foreign to her than she cared to admit. "I guess he's doing a better job of it than I am," John smiled, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "He's a good boy. You'd be surprised at how many people Peter has helped over the years. He's more than just a service dog to me. He's been my partner, my friend. He's got a way of understanding people that's rare." Emma nodded, her gaze falling back to Peter. The dog's calm presence seemed to fill the room, offering her a comfort she hadn't known she needed. Maybe there was something extraordinary about him after all. Weeks passed, and Emma's treatment began. It was a difficult time for her emotionally and physically, but through it all, Peter remained a constant source of support. Every time she felt herself slipping into despair, he was there, his quiet companionship a reminder that she wasn't truly alone. John continued to visit her regularly, bringing Peter along, and each time their visits lifted her spirits. During one of their hospital visits, John brought a gift for Emma, a small book, one that he said was filled with stories of service dogs and their owners. It was a simple gesture, but it meant the world to Emma. She spent her days reading it, learning more about the incredible bonds between humans and their dogs. She was slowly beginning to understand the depth of her connection with Peter, a connection that had started with a moment of awkwardness and fear, but had transformed into something far more meaningful. One day, as she sat in the hospital room, Peter lying at her feet, Emma realized something. For the first time in as long as she could remember, she didn't feel as afraid. She wasn't afraid of the tumor, she wasn't afraid of the hospital, and for the first time, she wasn't afraid to be herself. Her anxiety still lingered at the edges, but Peter's presence gave her the strength to face it. He had saved her life in more ways than one, not just by alerting her to the swelling, but by showing her that she could accept help and that it was okay to lean on others. Months later, after her recovery, Emma found herself in a new chapter of her life. She had always preferred to stay in the background, avoiding attention and public settings, but now, with Peter by her side, she felt a spark of something she had never known before. Courage. She started volunteering at a local service dog training center, helping train dogs like Peter. It was a way to give back, a way to honor the bond she shared with him. She learned to interact with the dogs, to understand their needs, and to share her story with others who were just beginning their journeys with service animals. Her confidence grew with each passing day. She became more comfortable in her own skin, and for the first time, she didn't mind the idea of being noticed. She realized that people didn't stare because something was wrong with her. They were simply curious, just like she had been when she first met Peter. One day, the training center invited her to speak at an event about her experience, about the life-saving bond between her and Peter. The thought terrified her. Speaking in public had always been a nightmare. She wasn't sure if she could do it, but Peter was with her, his calming presence reminding her that she wasn't alone. The event was held in a large auditorium, and Emma could feel the weight of the crowd as she walked to the stage. Her hands were trembling and her heart was pounding in her chest. She wanted to turn around, to run away, but then she saw Peter sitting at the edge of the stage, his eyes focused on her, calm and reassuring. Taking a deep breath, Emma stepped up to the microphone, her voice quiet at first. But as she looked at Peter, the words began to flow. "I never thought I'd be here," she began, her voice gaining strength with each sentence. "I never thought I'd be standing in front of all of you telling this story, but I'm here because of one dog, Peter, a dog who showed me what it means to trust, to accept help, and to be brave." She paused, her eyes meeting the crowd. She could feel the warmth of their attention, but instead of panic, she felt something different. She felt a sense of purpose. "I was someone who always tried to blend into the background. I avoided attention, avoided people. But when Peter nudged my leg that day in the park, everything changed. He saved my life. And since then, he's been my constant companion, my source of comfort, and my friend." Emma's voice broke slightly, but she steadied herself. "I'm not the same person I was before I met Peter. I've learned to face my fears, to accept help when I need it, and to be proud of who I am." She looked down at Peter, who was now standing at her side. "And that's why I'm here today, to share Peter's story and the story of how he changed my life. He's not just a service dog, he's my hero." The audience sat in silence for a moment, and then, as if on cue, the applause erupted, filling the room with warmth and appreciation. Emma's heart soared. She had done it. With Peter by her side, she had faced her biggest fear and come out on the other side stronger. As the applause continued, Peter nudged her gently, and Emma smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. She wasn't alone anymore. Peter had saved her life, not just in a physical sense, but emotionally as well. And now, she was ready to embrace the future with him by her side. At the end of the event, there was a special ceremony. The organizers presented Peter with a Medal of Honor for his service and heroism. Emma stood beside him, her heart swelling with pride as the crowd cheered for the dog who had changed her life. John, standing next to her, gave her a proud smile. "You did it, Emma," he said quietly. Emma looked down at Peter, her voice thick with emotion. "No, we did it. Together." And in that moment, Emma realized that she had found something precious: confidence, courage, and a bond that would last a lifetime. As the story of Emma and Peter comes to a close, we hope it left you feeling inspired, uplifted, and reminded of the power of unexpected bonds and courage. If you loved this story, here's how you can help spread the message of hope and healing. Like this video to show your support for the incredible bond between humans and service dogs. Share it with your friends and family so that more people can experience the touching journey of Emma and Peter. Comment below and let us know your thoughts. Do you have a personal story of a service animal, or perhaps a time when you found unexpected strength in a friend? We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more heartfelt stories like this one. By subscribing, you'll never miss a moment of inspiration that could change your day. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Remember, the power of connection can change everything. Keep believing in the unexpected heroes around you.